Yes. Now here we're testing to see how close we could get. We did later get a portrait lens. But you see here, by getting that close, we lopped off the top of the head a little bit.
See that full head of hair?
Yeah. He really had a nice head of hair. Mm-hmm. See, we're seeing how close we can get. This is some of the stuff you have to test out when you get a camera. Now this is taken in Lakeshore Drive in Chicago.
It's a museum of, or field museum?
That's the Field Museum in the Grant Park to my right.
There's the fish house over there.
The aquarium.
Mm-hmm.
There's the band shell.
Band shell and lakefront at that time. Not very many skyscrapers.
There are practically no skyscrapers when this picture was taken. All the tall buildings, the Sears and the Prudential Building and Big John Hancock Building were not built at that time. The lake is the same lake. Here I am. I'm really all dolled up there. That hat probably cost me between $30 and $35. And boy, in that day, you know, like Dad was making about 55. Well, the base was about 55 a week, but he'd always come up with about 65 because there was always a little overtime.
Yeah, but look what that would buy.
Oh, that bought a lot more.
That Chevrolet there wasn't much over $1,000. That Chevy there was not much over that brand new car. Yeah. Yeah. Now you can see the skyscrapers a little better, what there are of them.
That's beautiful.
The tallest one's probably about 50 stories tall.
Yeah.
That's a little black Cocker Spaniel that I had. He was struck with a Blackie, we call him. He had a fancy name. I don't even remember now. You know, we're talking about 50 years ago. We got him from a family up here in Batavia that raised him in their own home. He was a pedigreed dog. Now here it is springtime and Dad's out there getting the ground ready for me to have a garden. He always got all dressed up to go out and do the garden so he wouldn't have to do too much.
That's Guzman's
That's
house.
Guzman's house. Now this is Helen and Paul
Up here
and me at Fabian's Park, and this is that little Japanese garden which is still in existence today. Now, all of us are a little self-conscious, you know, because we have never been photographed like this before.
Whenever I could get a Sunday off, I could get a Sunday off, we would get together with Helen and Paul and always go somewhere like this.
Where'd they live?
They lived in Hinsdale.
They lived in Hinsdale.
Always?
At that time.
Hey, Jacob, welcome.
Most of the time they lived in Hinsdale.
Most of the time then they did.
Then they moved up to the lake and then, of course, to Texas.
Get off that.
This is the Fox River looking south. There weren't too many boats. This is about the type of boat you saw, but there weren't that many boats on the river.
Still at Fabian.
When we talked to Helen and Paul on the phone about 10 days ago, I told her about this picture, and she said, I can still remember how we were giggling and laughing, she said, because we wondered how we're coming through on the pictures. This is Uncle Paul smoking, but he quit that habit years ago. But he said, what am I going to do while I'm having my picture taken? Somebody said, well, smoke a cigarette. Helen remembered this one, she says, where she was giggling. She said, oh, I can remember that picture where I was giggling. So after we got the heads lopped off a few, then we realized how close we could get with the camera. And I don't think we had the portrait lens at that time. Am I holding it too close?
Too close.
See there, we lopped the head off a little bit.
Right? That's right. Who's the good-looking guy, huh?
Yeah, that's Elmer when he was, well, probably, what, about, how old would you have been in 1937?
Oh, man. Going back in history.
Under 25.
Under 25, yeah.
There we are at the Sunken Gardens in Aurora.
Yeah.
That they had a man who took care of that, who figured out all the color scheme, and in the spring he had the tulips. And later on in the summer, when the season for the tulips were over, he had other flowers and had them all laid out in form with colors. He did an excellent job. But in recent years, they've had to do away with that because of vandalism. People get a big pleasure out of ruining things of beauty that we years ago used to enjoy.
The color's a lot better here than it was over at Mom's house.
Yeah.
Certainly, your face is blue and stuff, remember, Grandma?
Yeah.
There were a lot of pictures with blue faces on Kathy's television.
Now, there's the prettiest girl I've ever seen.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's also like 12 years old. How old is our TV?
There's a close-up.
Oh, yeah, the beautiful flowers. I love them.
Now, we had later on, after these pictures were made, remodeled the whole front of this building. It changed its appearance. This,
The golf course.
the golf course at Phillips Park.
Is that Leland Tower in the background there?
Yeah. That's Leland Tower.
We're back to the Sunken Garden again. I think this is at a later,
I kept going back there all the time.
but that doesn't look like tulips. Is it the tulips?
No, that was some other flower they
No,
put in
it does look like tulips, though.
there. I guess it was.
But we do have pictures taken later on in the summer.
No, this is...
Yeah, that's the more of the tulips.
Yeah, that's tulips.
Well, what the others were colored, weren't they? The first
Yeah.
pictures? Yes.
Oh, yeah, no color.
Now, we've got to be such experts. We've invested in colored film.
Oh, yeah, we're
How much more the color comes on?
It was almost twice as
About
much,
twice.
John. Like you could get the black and white for like a little over 3, and the colored was like 6.
For how much film? How long?
I think that was Silver Fox collar with a kind of a tweed, light blue tweed spring coat.
Yeah, this is springtime.
There's the lilacs in bloom.
There's Pretty Girl again.
I think this was taken over at Naperville
Yeah, this was at Naperville.
at the college.
At the college, on the college grounds in Naperville. Yeah.
You know, it's kind of difficult having your picture taken when you don't know what to do. Now there is in the fall out at the Phillips Park, and that is a different car. We've got
Got a new Chevy there.
The brand new?
brand new.
Brand new.
It was probably one of the first snowfalls that we went out to.
Then nobody spent any more money on cars in my life than me. I don't think.
Is there a car?